Hello, welcome to Drinking a Dragon's second tutorial video. I'm here today with Emily,
Hi.
who's going to be joining us on a bit of a tutorial session this Friday that we're going to run and record. We've got a couple of new players that are going to come in and hopefully run through the starter set adventure and learn a bit more about the game. We're going to record that and we're going to chuck that up online as well.
I'm only slightly terrified.
Yeah, you're pretty terrified, let's be honest here. So today I just really wanted to quickly talk about making a character, and we're going to roll through it very rapidly with Emily.
Cool.
When it comes to making a character, you've got a couple of options, and it's a really big part of the D&D world. It's something that a lot of people have a lot of fun with, and it's very much like creating an alter ego that you can have a lot of fun. So I'm going to very briefly run through some of the class options and race options. This is something that if you're interested, very much go out and check it out yourself, simply because there's so much content out there in terms of choices.
I mean, these books are chock full of information, so
Yeah.
if you have the money or can find it, we highly recommend you do it.
Definitely.
Because as a beginner, this book is a
It's huge.
holy grail.
Yeah, like I've just got my printed copy because I don't want my actual book to get destroyed. But well, I'm a bit of a book nerd, I must admit. But if you can get your hands on it, check it out. It's a beautiful book to read. It can be a bit over the top at times, but it's generally pretty
It's all
excellent.
part of the fun.
I'm just going to briefly talk about the classes and the races that are in the game. I'll probably do a later video that really goes through them in depth, but for today's purposes, I'm just going to run through them very rapidly. When you're building a character, it's good to have a good idea in your head of what your character is going to be. That's sort of the first step. So,
Yeah.
what did you thought of for your character that you wish to create?
I decided to go with a half-elf bard, just because I think, upon reading in this book about the half-elves and the bards and how it all works, I feel that those two go really well together because they're both sort of the all-rounders.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think, yeah, having someone like that with the guys would be really beneficial.
Hell yeah.
So yeah.
So in saying that as well, Emily obviously has looked through this. The way it works is I think there's about 12 different classes. I'll go through them in a second. And there's a whole bunch of races as well. So when you're making your character, you pick a race, you pick a class, and then you fill in the rest of your character sheet. That's sort of a long way to do it. There's a couple of cheats we can do to cut down some time, and I'll go through that in a moment. First up, the races, I guess. So in general, you've got a lot of your fantasy races that you can imagine. So you've got dwarves, you've got elves, you've got humans, you've got halflings. Imagine, I don't know,
Yeah.
Frodo. You've got humans, of course, dragonborn, which are like dragon people, they're pretty cool. You've got gnomes, you've got half-elves, which are half-elf, half-human, half-orcs that you can play as, and tieflings are
Very,
like
very cool.
demon-y people. Every time they release an expansion, they release more races, and there's something you can create from scratch, but just having a rough idea of that is a good way to begin. In terms of classes, you've got barbarians, who run up and smack stuff with a hammer.
And that's Mana's character.
That's Mana's character. You've got bards, which you're going to be. You've got clerics, they're sort of the healers of the world. They get up and they can get up close and personal, but generally they're the support characters. You've got druids, who can use magic and shapeshift into animals. You've got fighters, who are sort of a bit more finesse-based in terms of combat. They're the guys that dual wield swords and spin around.
Slightly more accurate and delicate than just charging at something with a giant axe.
You've got monks, and Bill plays a monk at the moment. They're sort of the master of unarmed combat. You've got paladins, who are, you can imagine, sort of holy warriors. So they get up close and personal with some pretty big weapons, but they can also, heal people and play a bit of a support role. Pondy is playing a pally at the moment, and we've got some really interesting developments with that coming up in the videos, which is really cool. He may have gone slightly evil, so we'll see how that plays out. You've got rangers, who generally are the guys that use the bow and arrow. They have like a wolf as a pet. They're pretty cool. They're focused around nature and being in the forest. Rogues, and Strutters is playing a rogue at the moment. He gets nice and sneaky and then stab stuff.
Suits him to a T.
It does. Sorcerers, who are magic casters, but rather than learning magic and spending a lot of time with it, our sorcerers just come upon these powers. They've woken up one morning and they've got the power of magic. So You've got warlocks.
Mm-hmm.
Warlocks are essentially they get their magic by forming a pact with a higher power. So like a demon or a god. They're generally seen as evil and
Selling their soul
for power. Yeah, exactly. Jaden was playing a warlock and
That didn't end so well.
no, it didn't. Sorry, Jaden.
Slightly
Love you.
unfortunate ending.
But you know, I'm sure people can play warlocks without getting dead. I think.
Yes,
Anyway.
without getting dead.
You've also got wizards, and wizards are what Jaden's playing at the moment, and he is enjoying it. I think he's playing Necromancer. They've got such a wide array of spells. We're going with Bard today, so we're really going to focus on that and not go in depth into the other classes.
Just because there's so much
So
information
much,
on it.
you
So
know.
that's why we encourage you, if you're interested, to get some of the literature
Oh, for
because
sure.
it's well worth it.
Even if you have any questions about the other classes and you want me to do a bit of a rundown,
Comments.
chuck it in the comments and I'll go through them more in depth if it's actually wanted. But otherwise, pick up the book. It's awesome. All right, well let's crack.
Get started.
Yeah, let's crack straight in. So
Cool.
when you're making a character, there's a couple of ways you can do it. You know, if you want to sit down at a table and play some D&D, you can. The first and easiest way, and we're going to be doing it on Friday with a couple of people, is to pick up the starter set. And in the starter set, it comes with a whole bunch of pre-generated classes. The classes are very good. They're very good character sheets. They take you through every step of the way in terms of leveling. They give you a background, and you can just pick up and play. So we'll be divvying these up on Friday, and hopefully we'll get some action out of them. The second way is to spend. Oh yeah, that's the starter set rulebook. It's excellent. The second way is to pore over these books and create a character completely from scratch. We're not going to do that. It takes a very long time. Some people really get a kick out of it, and I definitely recommend it if you're into that sort of stuff. Very fun, very rewarding, but you have to know the rules really well, because if you bring in a character that's slightly dodgy, the DM is going to kick your ass. And I have to be pretty firm with the guys sometimes when they're trying to slip something in.
Yeah.
The third way, and this is the way that I prefer, online, the Wizards of the Coast, the guys that make it, have this beautiful resource where you can jump on, you can download blank character sheets for free, and they have a whole bunch of pre-generated, characters. They're not fully fleshed out. In fact, it only gives you a tiny bit of information, but it's a really good place to start from. So,
particularly if you are still learning and you're not really 100% sure, this is actually really, really helpful.
So we're going to run through this with Emily, and we're going to quickly start filling in some stuff. So first up, I'm just going to read this a little bit, if I may. So the half-elf bard, it seems that I struck a chord. Ha! I love that one. I know you really like that one, so I figure that suits you a little bit. As a bit of a description of the bard that you're going to make. The life of a vagabond is the only life you've ever known, and your various talents have rarely failed to provide you with a warm bed and a hot supper. But mere survival is not enough anymore. You've discovered the hidden magic of words and music, and it is time for you to weave yourself into the stories told in hushed tones over steaming drinks, inspiring wonder in their listeners.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I like it.
So these sheets give a background, they give you some traits, they give you the features of a bard, and they give you generally all the statistics you're going to need to fill it out.
Yeah.
So it also gives you some of the spells you know and the equipment you start with. The easiest way to begin, and actually this is probably, I think, the best way to begin. On your character sheet, you have an area up the top where it essentially asks you to write down your character name, your class, your race, your background, your alignment, your player name, and some experience points. Definitely start by filling everything out up there. So noting your character name, which you still haven't decided upon, but I don't know, we can call
I
it.
feel it will come to me in a dream.
Yeah, that's okay. We can hold on it. But if you write down your class for me, so you're a bard, and you just note that off the top. You note your your race, your background, which in this case is entertainer. Now there are a lot of entertainer. There are a lot of different backgrounds that you can choose. They are all dictated in the player manual. If you think of them like a background matches what skills you would have. If you can think about something or about how your character wants to be, more than likely there is already a background that's already created.
Probably.
And even if there's not, most DMs are fine if you switch it a little bit. In this case, the entertainer background gives bonuses to acrobatics, deception, performance, and persuasion, I believe. So that's a good one for the bard to run, and I think that really suits you. The next thing we're going to do is start going through, and I personally go from left to right on the sheet. So I fill in all the stats, and then we make our way across.
Looks easy.
Yeah, so we're just going to fill in the stats that are on the pre-generated sheet. So at the top you've got 8 strength, and in the little box below it you put your modifier, which is -1. So what that means is any strength rolls that Emily has to make, she would get -1 to the score.
Oh man.
Yeah, well, you're not very strong.
Go to the gym.
Next along is dexterity, which is 16, and you've got a +3 bonus.
Hell yeah.
Further on, you've got constitution, which is 14, and it's a +2 bonus. Now, at this stage, we're going to start going a little bit off what is exactly on the sheet. On the sheet, it's got her intelligence set at 12 and her wisdom set at 10. We actually want to swap those stats around. Emily preferred to be a slight bit wiser, I believe.
Yes, I'm not one for the book smarts, and I don't think my character would be too keen on them either.
So if you want to go ahead and pop in wisdom plus is 12 and +1, and intelligence is 10 and 0. And then your charisma is 16 and +3.
I am so charismatic.
You are. It's awesome. Now, further down the sheet, what have we got? We'll flick up and fill out our skills and our saving throws. So inspiration, for the moment you leave blank. That's something that the Dungeon Master awards during the game. Next up is your proficiency bonus. Now, that's actually listed on this sheet, and in general most characters will start with +2 as a proficiency bonus.
Okay, so we'll go with that.
At this stage you've next got saving throws. So your saving throws are dex +5 and a charisma +5.
Cool.
Beautiful. So a saving throw is your proficiency bonus plus your stat bonus. So charisma is a bonus of 3, +2 is 5. Nice and easy. Excellent. I believe you only get to choose 2 of them, by the way, to actually have that bonus, but you'll be fine. Next up, we've got all your skills. Now, it's got some skills that have already been filled out, and I think they do sort of fit what you were going to be doing.
Okay, so what's that?
So we've got Arcana +3, Acrobatics +5, Deception +5, Insight +2, Perception +2, Performance +5, Persuasion +5.
So we'll go.
Just go all the way down the list, and you can, if you can fill them out, while I give a bit of a spiel.
Go for it.
Now, this is very, and please, I don't know every rule here as well. The reason I like doing this is because it is very well filled out to begin with, makes it nice and easy, and in general you can whip up a character sheet in 15 to 20 minutes. It does give you how to level your character, and those parts of it I really don't like using. It's good to have a base for it, but as you customize your character and as you get stronger, that's where you can really start to enjoy the customization options and having a lot of fun with it. So we're going to fill this out, and on the night you'll see us leveling up, but this is just the basic that we're going to go with. I also did explain skills in the last video, so if you're watching this just for Emily, please go and watch my previous video as well, because it explains a lot. Anyway, at this stage we have the passive wisdom, which is your perception. So your passive perception, which is your wisdom. Now, it is on here, if I can find it for the life of me. And I'm going completely blind. Can you see it? Perception 12. There you go. Woof. What that means is that's Emily's ability to essentially just walk into a room and see what's going on. Pretty cool.
Relatively perceptive.
Yeah, relatively. I think that's actually 13, to be honest, because we swapped around int and wisdom. That's actually going to be 13 value. This is where it does get a bit weird with going off sheet, but we'll survive.
Cool, I did.
I will double check that before we start. So we filled out all the skills, we filled out most of the bonuses there. So we'll go ahead and start filling out our armor class, our initiative, and our speed. They are listed on this sheet. Armor class is made up of whatever armor the character starts with. So in your case, your character is going to have an armor class of 15, which is pretty good.
It is pretty good.
It has an initiative of... Actually, you leave that blank.
Okay.
My bad. Leave that blank. Your speed is 30 foot. That's how far you can move in one turn of combat.
Mhm.
Your current hit points start at 10.
Okay.
And you have 1d8 hit dice, which should be down there. Yeah. So what that means is every level, Emily can roll 1d8, add her constitution bonus of +2, and add some more health to her. You can also roll those 1d8s during a short rest to heal back up some of that health.
Cool.
It's, yeah, a bit confusing. Anyway, we've got some other fields there, so some temporary hit points we don't really care about. Death saves, you only use them when you're dying.
Yeah.
We're going to fill out the personality traits, the ideals, the bonds, and the flaws. They are listed on this sheet. We probably won't do that right now because we're going to customize this a little bit.
Yeah.
As you go, those really flesh out your character. You have a couple of pre-generated ones, but you can generally modify them quite often. In this case, the bards, I'll just note them for people. The bard can change mood or your mind as quickly as you change key in a song. Actually, that's not too bad. When you perform, you make the world better than what it when you perform, you aim to make the world better than what it was. So that's your ideal. That's what you're striving towards.
Yeah.
You will do anything to prove yourself superior to a hated rival. That's the bond that it lists, as well as you're a sucker for a pretty face. That's your flaw.
Oh, I am.
The reason we do list them out, if you play to these personality traits, we reward you as a DM with an inspiration. So if you're playing to your flaw where you know that you probably shouldn't be going into this house, but the person that's inviting you inside is a pretty face, and you go in anyway, you'll get inspiration for that.
Excellent.
Because you're being a bit of an idiot, but you're playing to your flaws, which is a great.
What can I say? I'm
So
a slave to my flaws.
We'll modify them slightly, and we'll probably go into it a bit before the next session. They are a really good way to flesh out your character and understand how it works. Mechanics-wise, we have a couple more things to fill out here. We've got attacks and spell casting. So as you can see here, it's pre-generated with a rapier and a hand crossbow. So we'll get you to fill those in. So your melee weapon attack is +5 to hit, and under your attack bonus, +5, and your damage is 1d8 +3. So whenever you go to attack with your rapier, you roll a d8 and you add 3 to the value, and that's how much it hits for. You've also got a hand crossbow, which is +5 to hit, and it's 1d6 +3. Talking previously with Emily, we're considering swapping out the hand crossbow for some throwing knives, but for this purpose, we'll just leave it in there and we'll have a bit of fun with that later.
Cool.
All right. Next on our sheet, we've got we'll go with the features and traits area. So the features and traits, in this case for a bard, it's listed on this side of the sheet, and it carries over down here. There's quite a bit to fill out for the bard because they have an awesome ability called Bardic Inspiration. So if you just want to note on there that you have Bardic Inspiration and it's 1d6, I'll explain it. Bardic Inspiration is the main feature of a bard. So what they can do is, depending on their level, they can use it a certain amount of times per short or long rest. They gain the ability to give someone else an extra dice to their roll. They're inspiring the other player to perform really well, I think is the idea behind it. That's what makes bards a great support character. The other player can use that 1d6 anytime in the next 10 minutes, and it lets them essentially roll that and add it to one of their values. So if they've almost hit that goblin but not quite, they can roll that dice to make it happen. If they're about to be crushed by a boulder and they roll against it but they don't quite make it, they can use their Bardic Inspiration to maybe get out of the way nice and quickly. Yeah. And that's what you're going to be using quite often. You've also got the ability to cast some spells, which is really cool.
Which I'm very excited about.
We'll actually fill that out on a different page.
Yep.
But if you want to note in there that you do cast spells, that'd be great. Now, from being a half-elf, you also have some other traits, which is cool. You have advantage on saving throws against being charmed, and magic can't put you to sleep. So if you want to note that one down as Fey Ancestry, that's an ability that elves get. You can't, it's very difficult to be put to sleep or charmed is the idea. And then you've also got dark vision. So you can,
which is very cool.
Exactly, you can see in dim light within 60 feet of you as if it were bright light, and in darkness as if it were dim light. You can't discern colours in darkness, only shades of grey. that does mean that you are one of the few characters in the adventure that can see in caves and such without actually having to have a natural source of light. Makes you very sneaky, which is great. That'll match very well with your fairly high stealth and deception. Excellent. So, what else have we got here? I think that's pretty much it. We'll go and fill out some of your spells in a moment.
Cool.
We do have some languages to fill out if you wish. So you know Common, Elvish, and Halfling.
Okay.
If you want to fill that out down here. It's, I don't know, useful. Sort of. When I talk to a Halfling, I don't know, one that doesn't know Common. Most characters know everything, and some DMs, and if you're really serious about it, get into that pretty much. I don't. I'm a bit lame like that. But hey, it fills out your character. We've also got some other equipment that I'll get you to write in very quickly. So on the sheet, it essentially lists that you have a disguise kit, a drum, a flute, and a lute.
Okay.
And you're going to start with 25 gold. So if you want to fill that in, just under equipment, so you have a disguise kit, a drum, a flute, and 30 GP. You also obviously have the rapier and the hand crossbow. Your character doesn't start with too much gear, and we'll find it fairly rapidly, which should be fun actually. Yeah, okay, so rapier started with that. We can worry about that
I'll
later.
fill that in.
Yeah, that's cool. So if we want to go to the next sheet. Yeah, that's it. So at this stage, Emily could actually sit down and play. There's a bit of background information that's missing.
I don't even know if you can see that, but whatever.
Emily could sit down and start playing a game right now. We are going to fill out a couple more things though, which is pretty cool. So the second page in the character sheets is very optional. Not a lot of people run it. This fills out like your character appearance. You can draw a little picture, bit of your backstory, some of the allies and people you meet along the way. Any additional features and traits that you gain that won't fit on the main sheet, and any treasure you acquire. So this is very much one that we fill out as we're playing. It's very optional, you don't need it, but it's very handy to have. Now the third page, which again is optional, but is amazingly useful, is the, essentially it's like a spell book for you, which is really cool. So on this spell book we'll fill out your spellcasting statistics. They are listed on the pre-generated sheet, and there are some pretty decent math behind them. All of the formulas are in the player handbook. We're just going to go with the pre-generated ones because it's nice and simple. So first up, your spellcasting class is a bard. Your spellcasting ability is +5, I believe. Your spell save DC is 13. And I believe your spell attack bonus is +5 as well. I have to double check that spellcasting ability. I don't play a caster, I'm pretty sure it's +5. Anyway, so it's already picked some cantrips for you and some first level spells. Cantrips you can use at any time you want. First level spells you can only use a certain amount per day. So the cantrips that you know are minor illusion and vicious mockery.
I like the sounds of vicious mockery.
Yeah. And then your first level spells are Charm Person, Fairy Fire, and Healing Word. Oh yeah, interesting. Charm Person, Fairy Fire, and Healing Word.
So do you want to explain like how the spells work and
Yeah, not an issue at all. So to begin with, Emily's going to have what's called 2 first level spell slots. She knows 3 spells, but she can only cast 2 of them per day. Her cantrip she can cast as often as she wants. In this case, it's set her up with a couple of first level spells, which are just generally good to use. Charm Person lets her charm a person. They have to roll and hopefully not be charmed by you, otherwise they view you as a friend.
Yeah.
And they...
Foolish. Very
foolish. Fairy Fire, I'm very familiar with. Fairy Fire is pretty cool. You choose an area in front of you, it's a 20-foot cube, and anything in that cube lights up. Now, anything that's lit up, you make advantages when you're rolling against it. So you can see them really, really well. It's very useful as a support ability. And then you've got Healing Word, which just lets you heal other people.
Cool.
Yeah, the bards are pretty supportive. Now, when you sit down to play, you can choose 2 of them for the day, and you choose that at the start of your session.
Yeah.
So you sort of preload them in those spell slots, and then you expend the spell slot to cast them. When you level up, you gain more spell slots, more spells, and that's when this becomes really useful. At the moment, we've got 4 spells listed on here. By the end of this is going to be 4. So it gets pretty hard to track what you've cast, what you haven't cast, and especially as a DM, I sort of slightly track it in my head, and if you're trying to cast a few too many spell slots, I get a bit cranky at that, but you should be fine.
Cool.
So that's pretty much it. You know, we've got some fluff to fill out, and we'll do that not on camera because it's you know, pretty personal to you.
Yes.
And it can also, what's really cool about Dungeons and Dragons is this stuff is your information. You don't have to tell other people. You don't have to let other people know that you're secretly working for the devil and you're actually just here
It makes it
to
all
mess
more
with
fun.
people.
So the surprise of your comrades is actually legitimate when you betray them.
At this stage, you could sit down and you're ready to go.
Yay!
It's great. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Please let me know if you want me to go through the races and the classes a bit more in depth. I think we're going to have a pretty good session on Friday night, and thank you very much, Emily, for being my guinea pig.
Thank you, everyone, for watching.
I'll put the link in for these character sheets, and
well worth it.
Check out the other videos. Feel free to like, comment, tell us where it is, share it away. I'm happy for any feedback. So yeah, have a great one.
See you next time.